You can create the Libertarian Pioneers Club. Now you can have members reach their goals by writing a personal check for $1,000, or find 10 friends to write checks, or solicit their PAC for contributions. They could even host a fundraising event in their home. Train your members and make sure each one has a sales package to promote the campaign. You want to check in with your finance committee members often. If members aren't reaching their goals, you'll have to adjust your plans accordingly. That's why it's better to over-recruit finance members. Have a whole committee and just recruit as many people to raise money on your behalf. Finally, and this is probably the most important, reward finance committee members who reach their goals. Reward anyone who reaches their goals. Reward anyone who gives you money, anyone who volunteers with your campaign. It's most important, remember to say thank you. That's hard for libertarians. People are supposed to be doing this because they want to, right? No, they're helping you out. Thank them. These folks have worked hard on your behalf, and many are never thanked. Make sure you have a system of rewards in place. Even small gestures, such as a handwritten thank you note, mean a lot to those who have volunteered their time to help your campaign. Another thing, we kind of talked about spouses earlier, thank your spouse. Thanks, Allison. Thank your spouse. I bet you a lot of spouses haven't been thanked that help with campaigns. Thank you note, or a truly small act of kindness that sets you apart from other candidates and keeps you in the volunteer's mind. One idea that was thrown out at me, I tried to write it down. Keep donation envelopes around with you anywhere you go. Someone hands you money, put it in the envelope, write the person's name on it, get them to write down their address and phone number and everything, so you can follow up with them later. If you're out and about and they hand you, people might, when you're out and about, hand you money. Or especially if you're at an event where you're asking for money, just carry around little donation cards so that you can remember to follow up with them. Because again, they might be, especially if anyone raising money right now, you started raising, perfect example. Anyone who gives them money right now, they're definitely going to give them money next year before the campaign. And now he already knows that they're willing to give them money. So just to round it out, there are two things that win, money and volunteers. Nobody likes asking for money. Obviously, our volunteer resources are limited, so we got to win on the money side. We just got to get used to asking for money, and we need to ask everybody we can for money. Don't try to, and when you go to spend it, don't try to be a Renaissance man. Don't do a little bit of radio, do a little bit of TV, and do some, one direct mail, and do a bunch of yard signs. Pick one major advertising thing and stick with it. When I ran for city county council, we did some TV ads, but we focused on radio. I didn't do yard signs, I didn't do bumper stickers, I didn't do any of that crap. If you're running a statewide campaign, I would challenge you, why are you buying yard signs? You're going to get bugged about it. People are going to ask you for a yard sign, just tell them no, we don't have the campaign resources for it. We're going to run TV commercials instead. If you're a township race, why are you running radio ads? Those are the ones that should be doing the yard signs, because you can go to every house and put one in every yard. And mailings are popular, mailings are effective, but don't do them unless you can do at least 3 or more. Because it's repetition. People are going to forget. They'll throw away their mail. Eric?
At what point do you stop receiving funds?
When you're dead?
Well, no, that's a good question. After you've closed your campaign. Because here's the thing, it's possible to spend yourself into debt. You actually, and I think Bob Barr's been doing this. If you spend yourself into debt, you have to fundraise after the election. So as long as your campaign as your campaign is still open with the county clerk, keep raising money.
I would strongly recommend that no Libertarian Party candidate in the state of Indiana spend themselves into debt.
No, do not.
We're Libertarians. Don't spend money that you don't have in the bank on the outcome that you will be making more money in the future. Probably won't happen, and you're going to have to keep filing those darn campaign forms every quarter for the rest of your life, unless you come up with money to pay your campaign debts. If you If you know that you want to do something in the future, raise money for it and budget for it. If you know you want to raise enough money to run 1,000 radio spots last week of the campaign, find out what the political rates are going to be and raise money accordingly, have that money in the bank, and be ready to write the checks. Because in most cases, the radio stations won't run the spot unless they have a check in their hand and it didn't bounce when they try to send it through.
And that actually reminds me, you can sometimes leverage these lack of money situations to get money out of people. And what you can do is contact the radio station and say, I want to reserve 10 spots a day for the next 10 days. And they say, great, well, you need some money. And you record the ad, do everything, get everything in place, then go to your volunteers. I need to raise $1,000 by the end of tomorrow. Okay, how much can you? Can you give me $100? Can you give me 50? Can you, whatever. And now they know that now there's some urgency. This radio ad will not go. And then as soon as you get the money, it's ready to go, and you drop the check off, and they run the ads.
Yeah, most people who are purveyors of political materials usually will not, at least at our level, give you something unless they get paid in advance. They have learned their lesson many times. And in fact, some of the political campaigns, presidential campaigns from 20, 30 years ago probably still have open FEC committees because they still owe money. Paul Barr was the first libertarian I've ever heard of doing this, and I guarantee you, in talking to our national chair, it ain't going to happen again. But what Tim said is exactly true. You've got to concentrate on raising money, because if you don't have money, you're not going to be able to do any of this stuff that you want to do to get people to recognize your name, to recognize the Libertarian Party position on something, and to vote for you when it comes November 4th or 5th or whatever election day is. Because that's ultimately what we're in business for, is to get people elected to public office, to affect policy discourse in a libertarian manner, and to try to get rid of some of the problems that the old parties have brought on this country. We can't do it without money. Any other questions for Tim?
I saw someone else's. It's the same question.
And the unlikely event there's $10 left over, what happens?
Buy your campaign workers dinner? Actually,
Take your wife out to dinner.
yeah, well, it's only $10. Actually, we had in the morning campaign in 2000, we actually got a couple $100 back from one of the radio stations because they had not run radio spots that we prepaid for whatever reason. They just didn't get run, and they sent the money back to us. I think almost after I had already closed out the campaign and the check showed up in the mail. So we basically gathered up as many volunteers as we could and went out to dinner at Applebee's one night. And it was a nice gesture. Everybody appreciated it. It might be something you might even budget for and keep a few $100 left.
And if you're going to keep your campaign open from a legal standpoint with the county, and you plan to run again, I mean, you just keep it and just use it next year.
Yeah.
You'll have to report it every year.
There are some restrictions on what to use that money for. You cannot give yourself a salary unless you do the appropriate things to have an employee for the campaign. But anything that's oriented toward getting you elected, you can use that money for. Ed?
Yeah, one other thing too you can do with the money, if you've got some left over and you really don't have anybody, like we're pretty much running a one-man show or whatever, is give it to your county party.
Or the state party.
Or the state party.
Or the county party. Marion County, Libertarian Party.
Somebody else have a question back there?
This may sound kind of silly, but is there a lower limit on the amount of money that you can get without having to fill out a form saying that this person gave me money? I mean, if somebody gives you a penny, do you have to put a penny on there with their name and address?
In Indiana, it's $100.
Yeah, well, and depending on how there's a disagreement if it's $100 exact or $1 over $100 or 1 penny over $100. But if they, is it 100?
No,
Yeah.
I was gonna say if it's $100, $1 100 times, it's still $100.
Oh, yeah, it's
Right.
cumulative, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, if they give you $50, you throw it in your unitemized list and you can just group those all
So
together.
people are
and
just
say-
throwing money into a big kettle there.
We did that
Yeah,
once
you wanna
when we
be
were morning
careful about
campaign.
that.
We used to carry around a big milk carton, or not milk carton, a big like water jug thing, plastic thing that said throw your quarters in here. And
If you're running a
No.
local campaign, their rules are a lot looser than if you're running.
yeah, I mean, we had a few $100s in that by the end of the campaign. Mark, cover your ears. We just kind of reported it as miscellaneous contributions on the forms, and nobody said anything.
Yeah.
But to that comment, if I may real quickly, if you
Yeah,
ever
listen.
are audited and you don't know where that money came from and you have $1,000 in there, you may have problems saying how you got it. I mean, it can be a problem if you don't itemize your cash, so there's a risk there.
But there's a wonderful category called miscellaneous cash contributions, and as long as it's not more than $100 per person, then you don't have to report anything. Anything else, Tim? 30 seconds
You-
left?
30 seconds.
So you got a contributor that gives you $50 on 3 different occasions, you still have to report that $150 for that.
Correct. When it accumulatively in any calendar year becomes more than $100, then you have to report it.
All right.
All right, well, let's give Tim a